All right. Today is June 2nd, 2026. It is 6 p.m. We're going to go ahead and bring this regular city council meeting in session. And we're going to go ahead and start out by our opening prayer and pledge of allegiance to the flags of the United States and to the state of Texas. Councilmember Westbrook. Everybody please stand and bow your heads.
Good evening. Let us pause for a moment of reflection. Heavenly Father, we ask for wisdom, patience, and humility as we gather to conduct the business of our city. Guide our discussions so that they are thoughtful, respectful, and focused on the needs of the people we serve. Bless our residents, our city staff, first responders, and all who contribute to making our community strong. Help us make decisions with integrity, compassion, and a sincere commitment to the common good. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right. Thank you for that, Councilmember Westbrook. We're going to go ahead, and we do have one proclamation tonight. If I could have Internal Services Director Denisha Harden and Fleet Manager Matthew Chappell come on up, please. The more the merrier. Come on up. Yeah, we can have a few folks over here on this side. All right, now we all know that these folks that are up here hold a very important and vital role in keeping our fleet running throughout the city. If it weren't for them, it would really be really expensive to keep our fleet running, because today's labor rates go anywhere from about $150 to about $250 an hour. So, and we have a huge fleet between emergency service vehicles, public works vehicles, fire trucks, and not to include the heavy equipment and public works. So it gives me an honor to do this proclamation. National Automotive Service Professionals Month, June 2026. Whereas the city of Schertz is committed to delivering outstanding services that enhance the quality of life within our community and to recognizing those dedicated to that mission. And whereas the National Institute of Automotive Service Excellence, established in 1972, works to improve the quality of vehicle repair and service through the testing and certification of automotive professionals, and has designated June as National Automotive Service Professionals Month, including National Automotive Service Professionals Week, June 8th through the 14th, and National Automotive Service Professional Day on June 12th. And whereas the City of Schertz Fleet Department consists of 7 employees with more than 75 years of combined experience in fleet management and mechanical service, providing preventive maintenance and complex repairs, which include tire changes to rebuilding and replacing entire AC systems, to keep city vehicles operating safely and efficiently. And whereas the City of Schertz Fleet Department remains dedicated to providing efficient and cost-effective and customer-driven municipal fleet management services to support the daily operations of the city. Now, therefore, I, Ralph Rodriguez, Mayor of the City of Schertz, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2026 is National Automotive Service Professionals Month. I encourage all citizens to thank and recognize the many contributions our fleet department professionals who ensure our vehicles are roadway safe. Thank you, guys. Comments?
Okay. Total preparation here. Yeah, thank you. Couldn't have done it without the folks to my left and right. All part of the team that we have to keep things going around here. So thank you. Take your time.
Moving on to employee introductions, we have Facility Maintenance Supervisor Joe Villarreal. Not, okay. All right, and then moving on to Civic Center Manager Athena Nolan. And I apologize, you might have to turn that mic around.
Good evening, everyone. Today I have the privilege of introducing Grace Palazewski. She's our newest event attendant at the Civic Center. Grace is from Kenya and spent time in Ethiopia to gain her Bachelor's of Biblical and Christian Ministry from the Meseret Christos Seminary in conjunction with the Elcott in Indiana. Soon after completing her education, she moved here to Texas and most recently worked at the city of Cibolo, where she's now being missed. Grace is married and also has a daughter that resides in Kenya and speaks 3 languages. We're very glad to have Grace here at the Parks Department. Grace.
Glory and honor to God. To the mayor and all the council, I'm blessed to be in your presence today. Thank you. I'm glad to be part of Team Schertz, and I look forward for a long career with the city. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. We thank you very much, and we welcome you to the Schertz family and hope that you have a long career with us. Moving on to presentations of the 2026 Hal Baldwin Scholarship recipient, we have our Assistant City Manager, Sarah Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm excited to be here tonight to introduce the 4th Hal Baldwin Scholarship recipient. At the May 12th meeting, Council approved the resolution to award all 4 recipients this year. Kaylin Williams was unable to attend that night because she was at a band concert. So I think that's a pretty good reason to not be able to make it. But I'm excited to announce she is here tonight, so I'd like to bring her up. Kaylin? All right. So a little bit about Kaylin before we invite everybody down for a photo. Kaylin Williams was a senior at Steele High School, and she will be attending the University of Texas in the fall. Her goal is to earn a degree in international relations and global studies, focusing on Asian studies. She plans to join the AFROTC program to commission into the Air Force as an officer after graduation. She is motivated to pursue a military career after witnessing the profound impact the military has had on her own family, and she wants to continue and honor her dad's military legacy. She is excited for her future to work on behalf of the American people in a dynamic career as an Air Force officer and Foreign Services officer. Kaylin states that the meaning of public service to her is about putting aside your own problems and focusing on helping the needs of others, even and especially when it doesn't directly benefit you. A sacrifice that is truly exceptional. She says that public service is about creating a positive difference that will last for generations to come. So again, congratulations to Kaylin. And if I can have the Mayor, Steve, and Mr. Councilmember Macaluso and Councilmember Guerrero, who are part of the committee, to come down to take a photo. Congratulations.
Go Air Force. Yes.
Trying to leave room for folks. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Okay, moving on to city events and announcements. Announcements of upcoming city events. We have our Assistant City Manager, Sarah Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you again, Mayor. So a couple announcements for tonight. This Saturday, June 6th, the Schertz Hometown Harvest will be back. That's at 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Pickerel Park. Saturday, June 13th, there's two events going on. There's Edzucation at Crescent Bend Nature Park at 10 a.m. And then in the evening, there will be a float and flick, Top Gun Maverick at 7 p.m. at Pickerel Park Pool. And then our next regularly scheduled council meeting will be on Tuesday, June 16th, here in the council chambers at 6 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Announcements and recognitions by our City Manager, Steve Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. Got a few tonight. So we did have a promotion this month. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a couple of tonight. We had Anna Coker was promoted from part-time EMT to part-time paramedic. And then also I got an email that I passed along to y'all, but I also want to paraphrase here tonight. So Christina Timke and Michelle Cherry in our permits department do an excellent job all the time. But a gentleman named Felix Ruvalcaba, a resident of Schertz for nearly 28 years, expressed appreciation for the excellent service he received from the building permit department. On March 26, 2026, Christina Timke assisted the gentleman with a roof replacement permit, taking time during her lunchtime to guide him through the process. And then in May, Michelle Cherry helped locate additional documents needed for insurance. Both employees provided exceptional, friendly, and professional service, deserving recognition for their contributions to the city. Felix, our resident, very much values his positive experiences with Christina and Michelle and takes pride in being part of our community. And then also, Sydney Paredes. She is a 2026 AAPRA extern. So Sydney was selected as an extern for the National Recreation and Parks Association Conference in Philadelphia through the American Academy for Parks and Recreation Administration's externship program. This is a pretty big recognition in the Parks and Recreation world. The program selects only 4 young professionals from across the entire country each year to participate. Externs are paired with Academy members and national leaders during the NRPA conference to network, attend special meetings and educational sessions, and gain mentorship and professional development opportunities throughout the week. Sydney is very deserving of the selection, and she'll represent the city of Schertz well. So way to go, Sydney, and way to build the brand of Schertz. That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to those folks.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. I almost missed. I have one more. Our own Irene Chavez, Assistant City Secretary. She earned her Bachelor of Applied Technology and Operations Management. She actually graduated back in December of 25, but she did just walk in May, and she received that from Palo Alto College. So congratulations to Irene.
Congratulations. Okay, I do not have any announcements or recognition, so we're going to be moving on to hearing the residents. This time is set aside for any person who wishes to address the city council. Each person should fill out the speaker register prior to the meeting. Presentation should be limited to no more than 3 minutes. All remarks shall be addressed to the council as a body and not to any individual member thereof. Any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks while addressing the council may be requested to leave the meeting. All handouts and/or USB devices must be submitted to the city secretary no later than noon on the Monday preceding the meeting. Handouts will be provided to each council member prior to the start of the meeting by the city secretary. All USB devices will be vetted by the city IT staff to ensure city property is protected from malware. First up, on hearing the residents is Maggie Teeterington. Good afternoon, Maggie.
Afternoon, Mayor, Council. We have a busy month, so y'all get out your calendars. We have 4 ribbon cuttings that are coming up. On the 5th, we have one that is going to be at the Kramer House with Insperity. That's a small business owner. She does PEO, and that's at 3 p.m. The one I know everybody has been waiting for is Portillo's. That is going to be at 9:30 in the morning on the 9th. That ribbon cutting has been long anticipated. We've had to reschedule quite a few times, but it is happening, 9:30 on the 9th. On the 10th, we have Smoky Moe's at Schertz Station, and that will be doing their grand opening at 4 p.m. On the 24th, we have Texas Tea Cafe, which is opening at 4 p.m. for their ribbon cutting, and they're located right off of 3009 in front of the Walmart area. We also have our Chamber Monthly Luncheon, and I love the title, is Your Website Killing Your Business. We have a digital strategist that's going to come in and kind of, I think he says, roast your website before you're ghosted. He has some really timely tips about what you may be doing that is actually driving people away from your business. And so he will be speaking at our luncheon. And then our first summer smoothie of the month and of the summer is on the 26th. That's at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. It's from 7:30 to 9 in the morning. Y'all are invited to come out. Steve and John always has whatever smoothies you want, some breakfast goodies and everything. And beyond that, we are working right now on our Chamber Bowl, which is going to be the scholarships that we want to give to the DECA students at Clemens and Steele High Schools. We are close to having been awarded $200,000 in the past 12 years that we have been doing this. And my goal this year is I would love to give them $15,000 to split between the two schools. Last year we were off by a few thousand, but I know Team Schertz is going to resurge and come and conquer Team Cibolo and Team Selma. That's just chunking that out there. But if you need any more information, please go to thechamber.info. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, we have Mickey Turelsky.
Turelsky, 705 Maryland Drive, Schertz, Texas, of course. Mayor, Council, Mr. Williams, Mr. Santee. As you know, we had numerous elections since November. And this last election, we had, I won't get into behavior, but I will get into things that I observed at the polling place at the county. I know y'all do not have any responsibility on what went on at the county. However, there was political signs nailed to a tree, a 50-year-old tree. There was political signs hung from a newly painted light fixture. Signs hung from the in and out, getting into the parking lot, leaving the parking lot, and numerous signs. Now, I know y'all have already had a policy on numerous signs. However, there's a newbie. One of the candidates had at least a 2x4 or 3x5 flag on a staff, which the supporters were waving in and out like they were landing jets on an aircraft carrier. They were doing this on the sidewalk and at the entrance to the polling place. When it wasn't being flown by the supporter, it was stuck in the ground in the grassy area, like they had just landed, Columbus had just landed and decided to have that property. My concern is what happens in November at our community if we have 10 people out there waving a flag on a staff in front of people that are trying to walk on a sidewalk and students trying to cross the crosswalk, in addition to the traffic that comes down Schertz Parkway. I'm asking you to review a policy on handheld flags as such. Y'all have already had the flags that are put in for businesses. That will be another distraction. If, say, 10 people come up and they're politicking, I just want a thought process there as to how you're going to handle that, because I think there's going to be a safety issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll be moving on to the consent agenda items. The consent agenda items is considered self-explanatory and will be enacted by the council with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless they are removed from the consent agenda upon the request of the mayor or council member. Do I have any council member wanting to remove any item from the consent agenda? Okay, having nobody wanting to remove any consent agenda items, can I have a motion to approve items 1 through 6 on the consent agenda item?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, can I get everyone to cast a vote? Can I get the votes published, please? Okay, having 7 yeas, no nays, motion passes. Now we'll move on to item 7, discussion and action items. Item 7 will be Resolution 26-R-072, authorizing a notice of intention to issue bonds. And we have Mr. Walters.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is James Walters. I'm the Finance Director here for the City of Schertz. This resolution before you is a continuation of the presentation we had at the last council meeting. This resolution, if passed, officially kicks off the debt issuance process, allowing the city to start advertising in the papers and setting up the required timeline before those bonds can actually be sold. In the packet, it included a list of projects as well as the timeline that we had presented at the previous meeting. If there's any questions, happy to answer.
Do we have any questions by any council members? We have Council Member Robert Sheridan.
Good evening. Real quick, can you give some details in regards to this bond for the, just for transparency?
Sure. This bond, let me pull up the agenda item. Notice of intent. This bond is funding our CIP program, which was adopted with the budget last year. So I had a list of projects that were either underway or about to get underway, and this is the required funding source identified during that timeline. Lower Seguin Road improvements, the final $3.2 million that we projected we needed for that one. The annual spam, the 1.4 million, Northcliffe Country Club Estates, 1.7, Savannah Mill and Overway, 1.4. The generators for Community Center Building 1 and Public Safety Complex, and then the Wendy Swan drainage improvements, which would be funded by drainage, not part of the general fund or the tax rate. All these projects were identified as bond funded during the last CIP adoption, and this is a continuation of those projects going forward.
With that Wendy Swan drainage improvement, what's that, 1.1 million? Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, Brian can talk about it. This is right next to or we'll have Larry come up. This is the drainage behind the Wendy Swan Park and pool, and some of the upgrades that they're going to do for that.
That's correct. So,
Actually, can I just say one thing real quick? And as a reminder, just for the public and for council's edification, we do have the CIP on the webpage, and we also have a capital projects page with the projects on it with a lot of information. Encourage folks to go out there and take a look at it and look at some of these descriptions.
Yeah, so Wendy Swan Park, that's Cherry Tree in Northcliffe. And so that is the drainage at the back of the lot. So there's some underground drainage on the upstream houses. It goes through the park. Right now there's a couple large retaining walls that have kind of, over time, they're tilting a little bit. So at some point we need to handle this. We had identified this again prior when we started the CIP, and then this was the year we were slated to do it. So we've been working on design work. Hopefully we can get to construction. What we plan to do is take those walls down, actually put it underground so it's some more usable space for the park. Again, they needed to be addressed, and so that's the project. It basically goes along the back of the park and then discharges at the downstream end.
Okay. Thank you.
okay, next we have Councilmember Ben Guerrero.
You put that back on the screen. Where it says the total bond sale is proposed to be $9,850,000 with $8,750,000 allocated to the general fund and $1 million or $1.1 million to the drainage fund. How do you determine the 8.7 to general fund and 1.1 to the drainage fund? How did you come up with those numbers?
It's based on the identified projects. So the Winnie Swan part of the CIP, Winnie Swan drainage was $1.1 million of potential construction and design costs that still need to be raised. And so that's where we got the general fund, that's where we got the drainage fund number. So in there it said this project would cost $1.1 million of general expenditures in the in the 25-26 fiscal year. And we still needed to fund that $1.1 million, and we identified bond funding as the source of those.
And now, how did you come up with as far as the road improvements, and how did you allocate those? How did you come up with those numbers?
So these projects are either ongoing, and so we started work on them, like the Lower Seguin Road. Some of the fences are starting to go. This would kind of complete the project. Other projects are about to get kicked off. So those projects were were reviewed by the engineering department based on both roads usage and how much money we'd spend on them and what we think we could get out of some of the mill and overlay on the Savannah, let's say. If we put a little bit of money towards that project now, we get a lot more life out of the road, which will save us money later, so we don't have to do a rehabilitation quite as soon. So basically, they identified the projects in a list of order of what they believe to be the most impact on the city for travel, road congestion, as well as most bang for our buck. So which one would be the most cost efficient? So all those factors go into how they rank the different projects for streets, as well as for other projects. We put all that into a CIP. We kind of match funding sources like, oh, we think we'll have this amount of money available for this year. Finance and engineering then work together to go, oh, we have this much money. These are the projects that have the most priority. And so we obviously don't have enough funding to do everything within the time frame that we'd like to do.
So you're prioritizing on different factors is what you're saying?
Sorry, yes, different factors. Pavement condition index is how far the road deteriorates. We also look at traffic counts, as well as extending the useful life is generally cheaper than letting it fall into ruin and then rebuilding the whole thing. So those are basically the three things that go into this.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, one more. I'm sorry. I sent you an email earlier, and I appreciate you getting back with me. Now, the question was, and I appreciate your answer, you know, you stated we have $20 million available in our general fund. Now, what's the decision in not using the general fund, you know, and us issuing the certificate of obligation?
So there's, these projects were identified as bond funding, and as we talked about, for COs, there's a certain amount of time frame from the time we start issuing the notices before we can actually make the sale. So if we want even to consider debt funding for these kind of projects, we would have to start tonight and then go forward from there. And at any time, council can let us know, withdraw, and we don't have to go forward with the sale. The other factor is we have those funds. We've identified certain priorities we want to use those funds on. At the last pre-budget retreat, there was some talk about moving some road projects forward. And so if we ever want to accelerate the CIP, that costs additional funds. Some of the projects identified were a little more costly, which would eat up a good chunk or all of those additional funds that we had identified. So the question is, do we use some of that money to offset this debt issuance, or we can continue with this project and just accelerate those additional projects? That's generally what you could do with excess. You either move things forward or reinvest those in existing projects, do debt. So that's
Yeah,
really
if I could maybe add a little bit to that, and council will make sure we get that response out to all of y'all. The capital improvement program is, as you know, is in the couple of $100 million range. So the excess that we have in the general fund balance is a smaller amount, but it's cash. You can consider it like having cash in your wallet, and it's very flexible in what you can use it for. So we tend to use that on smaller capital items. So things that are equipment replacements or HVAC or things that are smaller in nature, we'll reserve that for that in terms of how we plan out that couple of $100 million. Things that have a longer life and that we will be able to utilize as an asset for a longer period of time, we tend to assign debt for that. So that's all outlined in our CIP, and we will be having a budget retreat. That'll be a big component of our budget retreat this fall, how we lay all that out and how we plan out these debt issuances. So we have a little bit of cash that we're able to use, but then we also have all these other projects that we use other sources like grants and for the most part, debt for the general government type stuff.
So I understand that this is just a notice,
Yeah.
but, you know, we can, you know, at the next pre-budget retreat, excuse me,
Yes,
that we can make changes if needed. You know, like maybe off balance with some of the general funds along with the COE if,
Absolutely. You
Yeah,
just
if needed.
you use it you want to consider it in the global strategy,
Right.
In terms of applying it towards I think it's $150 million over the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. So if we've got $20 million extra dollars, how does that fit in and what do we put it toward? Is this the best place to plug it in or do we plug it into the overall strategy? So,
okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
I was going to say
Ben,
something.
did you have another?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that our funds are being utilized like they're supposed to. I mean, I don't want any excess funds. That's all I'm concerned about. Making sure that 3.2 million is going for the improvement, the road improvements, and we're going to utilize that money. I'm just making sure
Yes, sir.
that the funds are going to where they're supposed to.
yeah, and Councilman, and I don't mean to just jump in here, but each of these projects, they're outlined, and when you go to the CIP, you'll see a project sheet on each of those. And the engineering department will put together that project estimate. They use industry standards for, you know, maybe lengths of lane miles for roads and the materials that are being considered in the project, cost of design, et cetera, to build as good a budget as they can. So each one of these represents a budget that was put together by, especially in the road project, and I guess in the drainage as well, project budgets that they've put together, and then we've assembled all together in terms of this. And in terms of excess just overall, as an additional point, this was originally supposed to be a $40 million issuance, but we've adjusted the CIP because it's somewhat of a fluid document in terms of timing of projects. Sometimes we're not ready to proceed with, say, that extra 30 million, so that'll be pushed out, and we'll adjust the CIP accordingly.
No, gotcha.
So we're planning to make sure we don't issue too much money.
Well, I just want to make sure if the money is allocated to each area, I just want to make sure that it's going to that area and not being misused or being overspent or anything like that, because we do have a lot of stuff that needs to be maintenance throughout the whole city, potholes, sidewalks, streets, and that's my concern. I want the infrastructure to be done and for this money to be used for that.
In the bond covenant, it strictly states what these funds can be used for: roadway improvements, facility improvements. It could not be used for anything else, can't be used for personnel, can't be used for equipment, operating type costs. It has to be used for those. If things come over budget, we find more money. If they come in more higher than that, then we find more money. If it comes in lower, there's always the option of moving that money back into the INS fund to pay down the debt. So if there happens to be savings, that's always an option as well. So that way it gives money back to the citizens.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution.
Okay, I have a motion already to approve the,
Second.
okay, I have a motion made by Councilmember Paul Macaluso to approve Resolution 26R-072, seconded by Councilmember Watson. Can I get everybody to cast the votes, please? Can I get the votes published? Having 7 yeas, no nays, motion passes. Moving on to discussion and action item number 8, Resolution 26-R-073, establish the city's intention to reimburse itself for prior expenditures on improvements from upcoming tax-exempt obligations. We have our Finance Director, Mr. James Walters.
Good evening again. This item is tied to the first item we just did. Basically, this says that we can go ahead and get started on some of these projects now before the debt funds reach us, and then once they come back to us, we'll pay ourselves back. We have the cash in the bank to cover these funds for now. If for whatever reason these funds or the debt sale does not go through, staff believes that we have enough cash right now to cover the expenses, and we would shift gears based on council's decision if that were the case, whether or not to delay the projects or fund them through the cash balances that we have, depending on what comes out. This just lets us to get started on the projects sooner rather than waiting, and help the citizens get those projects improvements done faster.
Councilmember Watson?
I motion that we approve Resolution 26R073.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Councilmember Watson, seconded by Councilmember Westbrook to approve Resolution 26-R-073. Can I get everybody to cast the votes? Can I get the votes published? Having 7 yeas, no nays, motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Walters. Thank you. Moving on to public hearings. Tonight we will have 4 public ordinances hearings. Starting with item 9, ordinance 26-S-010. Conduct a public hearing and consider a request to rezone approximately 2.1 acres of land from pre-development district pre to general business district GB. Generally located at the southeast corner of the intersection of FM 1518 and Ray Corbett Drive, also known as a portion of Bexar County property identification number 1103267, City of Schertz, Texas. We have presenter Daisy Marquez.
Good evening, Mayor, Mr. Williams, Council. Daisy Marquez, Senior Planner, Ordinance 26S010, a proposed 2.1 acre zone change to General Business District. Here's the subject property outlined in yellow. It's at the southeast corner of Ray Corbett Drive in East FM 1518. In proximity is Ray Corbett Junior High School. It's part of a larger 30-acre tract that's zoned pre-development district. Again, to the south, pre-development district, and then to the east, we have the high school and more pre-development district, and then to the west, we have 1518. And this application is also accompanied by item number 10 in ordinance 26S011, so order 11. And then here are the dimensional requirements for pre-development district and general business district. Again, pre-development district was just intended to be a placeholder after these properties were annexed into the city, and if somebody wanted to develop it later on, they could come in and propose a zoning district that they wished, and that's essentially what's happening tonight. They're proposing general business district. I have some of the permitted uses listed here on the table. Again, pre-development doesn't really allow much, but general business district allows things like car washes, commercial amusement, building material and hardware sales, retails, things like that. We did send out 6 public notices on April 23rd. We did not receive any public hearing responses. A notice was published in the paper on May 13th. 2 notification signs were placed by the applicant, and this did go to the May 6, 2026 Planning and Zoning Commission for a public hearing. Again, here's the subject property outlined in green. It's currently zoned pre-development district, and they're proposing general business district on that hard corner. And when it comes to zone changes, staff looks towards the criteria in UDC section 2154D for the criteria of approval. So this subject property notified by the star in the image is designated as mixed-use center in the comprehensive land use plan. So that's intended for higher density residential housing, locally serving commercial, recreational uses that take advantage of these major transportation corridors. So the proposed general business district does meet that intent of the mixed-use future land use designation. The proposed general business district does permit for land uses that were requested during the comprehensive land use plan engagement process. During that process, we did hear that a lot of people were requesting commercial and retail in the southern area of Schertz, so think south of FM 70A. We do have a lot of residential development, and we don't have much commercial development over there. Thus, this proposed general business district does promote the general welfare of the community because people were requesting these type of uses. As part of the zone change application, a TIA summary was submitted, and our engineering department did review it. So there is going to be an increase of traffic on FM 1518 and Ray Corbett Drive. That does not promote safety, but they can be mitigated through improvements. And our engineering department did provide some improvements that can be constructed to mitigate the traffic as listed here, which include things like widening Ray Corbett for a full left turn lane, signalization if it's warranted, increasing the length of the southbound left turn lane. But I do want to note that these final required improvements are not known at this time. These are just preliminary reports done now. These are just improvements that can be done. That comes later on in the site plan process when we actually look at what the building's going to look like, what their access points are going to look at. And then because this property is on 1518, TxDOT will also be reviewing everything that they submit as well. So the general business district is intended for retail and service establishments that meet the overall needs of the community. Again, these uses permitted within the zoning district are things like antique shops, retails, convenience stores, barber shops. Again, this is not an extensive list that's available in our permitted use table. And this is consistent and appropriate with existing uses in the area. You can see along 1518, we have some general business district on the other side, which leads all the way up north to the existing Dollar General. And staff has ensured all UDC requirements have been met for this proposed zone change. We did send the zone change to EMS, Fire, and PD, and they were notified, and they did not provide objections. And then at the May 6th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, residents did have concerns with the proximity to the school and children inhaling fumes, but that was in relation to the associated specific use permit that's being proposed tonight with Ordinance 26S11, so not specifically for the zone change. And although there are concerns with the traffic impact of the requested zone change, the proposed general business district is consistent with the intent of the comprehensive land use plan, future land use map, and the uses permitted within this general business district does serve the overall needs of the community. So staff is recommending approval of ordinance 26S10. And then the Planning and Zoning Commission did hold a public hearing for this meeting on May 6th, and they made a recommendation of approval to City Council with a 5-2 vote. And then Commissioner Velasquez and Commissioner Hughes cast the nay votes without discussion. And then the applicant is here, but they're saving the presentation for after the specific use permit application.
Okay. At this time, I will go ahead and open it up to a public hearing at 6:42. Any residents wanting to come up to speak, if you'll please state your name and address. Each resident will have 3 minutes to speak. Do we have anybody wanting to come up and speak on ordinance 26-S-010? Going once? Going twice? Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:43 with nobody speaking on the ordinance. So do we have any members wishing to have a discussion on this item? If not, can I entertain a motion?
I'll make motion for approval.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Councilmember Paul Macaluso, seconded by Councilmember Robert Westbrook. Can I get everybody to cast your votes? Can I get the votes published, please? All right, having 6 yeas, 1 nay, motion passes. All right, the next ordinance, we have ordinance 26-S-011. Conduct a public hearing and consider a request for a specific use permit to allow a convenience store with gas pumps on approximately 2.1 acres of land generally located at the southeast corner of the intersection of FM 1518 and Ray Corbett Drive, also known as a portion of Bexar County property. Identification number 1103-267 1103-267, City of Schertz, Texas. And we have presenter Daisy Marquez.
Good evening once again. Ordinance 26S011, a proposed specific use permit to allow convenience store with gas pumps on 2.1 acres. Daisy Marquez, Senior Planner. Here's the subject property outlined in yellow. It is the same property that we discussed in the previous ordinance. Again, it was just changed to general business district, and it was accompanied by the previous zone change. Again, here are the dimensional requirements for pre and GB. And we sent out 6 notices for the specific use permit. We did not receive any public hearing responses. We did post a notice in the paper on May 13th. It did go to the May 6th Planning and Zoning Commission, and 2 notification signs were placed on the property. So we're here for the specific use permit tonight because as per UDC section 2158, a convenience store with gas pumps is required to have an approved specific use permit in general business district. So that's why we're here tonight. A convenience store itself is permitted by right in general business district. It's the gas pumps itself that require the specific use permit. So for specific use permits, we look towards the criteria in UDC section 21511D. Again, the subject property and the subject area is designated as mixed use center in a comprehensive land use plan. The proposed SUP is located along FM 1518, which is a principal arterial. It does not violate the intent of the mixed-use future land use designation as it's located on FM 1518. Again, the current zoning or the pre-development district zoning was just a placeholder for annexation. General business district is intended for retail and service uses. The proposed SUP meets the intent of that general business district zoning intent. So currently within the city of Schertz, we do not have any ordinances that are adopted to restrict the distance of a convenience store with gas pumps from a school, or any ordinances that require certain distance of separation from alcohol sales in schools. A convenience store is permitted by right in GB. And again, this specific use permit is just for the gas pumps associated with the convenience store. The proposed general business district zoning that was just approved is compatible with existing zoning and uses in the area. And the 2.1 acres are part of a larger 30-acre tracts. We don't have any applications in for the remainder of the tract. The intersection of FM 1518 and Ray Corbett, 1518 is a principal arterial to TxDOT road, so anything happening on the road is going to be also reviewed by TxDOT. Ray Corbett Drive is a residential collector. And the access points will be evaluated later on in the development process again, so during site plan, so we don't know what those will look like now. Those are not locked in. And it is in proximity to the junior high, but it's not immediately adjacent to it. And again, when engineering reviewed their TIA memo, that was the same for the zone change. There is going to be an increase on traffic in that intersection of Ray Corbett and FM 1518, but mitigation can happen through improvements. Again, these required mitigations are not known at this time, and they're going to happen, we won't know until later on in the process. And although this proposed SUP location is not ideal and the traffic will be adversely affected on Ray Corbett, it's not adjacent to residential uses or zoning, and traffic mitigation efforts will be required in the process. So the proposed SUP does meet the UDC requirements. We did send this SUP to Schertz, EMS, Fire, and PD to be reviewed, and as a precaution, PD evaluated the number of calls for service for a convenience store with gas pumps in proximity to schools and did not find a correlation between the two. And then at the May 6, 2026 public hearing for this SUP, residents did come with concerns in relation to the location and proximity to schools and residences, pedestrian travel, traffic safety concerns with the delivery trucks for the gas and merchandise, and then TIA concerns. Staff did conduct some additional review on best practices out there. The only things that really came out were EPA guidelines for reducing near road pollution exposure at schools. This is more for things in proximity to schools like heavy pollutants. It offered no specific guidance in proximity to convenience stores and gas pumps in schools. And currently within the city of Schertz, we do have schools that are in proximity to convenience stores with gas pumps. One example is Clemens, at the corner of Schertz Parkway, a principal arterial, and Elbow Road, a commercial collector. And then Kamal Creek Elementary School and Danville Middle School, the closest convenience store with gas pumps is at that hard corner of the two principal arterials, taking advantage of that major transportation network. And then in proximity to the School of Science and Technology, we have another convenience store with gas pumps at that hard corner of two principal arterials, again, taking advantage of that major transportation network. And the convenience stores with gas pumps at these locations are taking advantage of those intersections of these major transportation corridors, so that was just one of the major differences that we saw when evaluating it. So staff is struggling with this because ideally schools are located within residential developments to create a complete neighborhood feel. Just an example here within the city of Schertz, think of Schertz Elementary School, Laurel Ingalls Wilder Intermediate School. So for example here, this school is located directly in the middle of 3 residential developments. It's surrounded by Carolina Crossing, Savannah Square, and Ashley Place. Kids can walk to school, kids can, commute to school in a safe manner. When you look at this school and you think of a convenience store with gas pumps adjacent to it, you would not think of it as something appropriate within this development. But the SCP location where it's being proposed is actually at the corner of FM 1518 and Ray Corbett, which is a principal arterial and residential collector. So although it's not really preferred by staff because of its access along Ray Corbett Drive, which is a residential collector, and maybe FM 15 and Laura Seguin Road, which are a principal and secondary arterial, would be more preferred, there really is nothing against or a reason why the traffic can't be mitigated, as engineering had stated. And then previous SUP applications for a convenience store with gas pumps were immediately adjacent to residential, and that's how we received major opposition from the surrounding property owners. And even with those previous applications, the Planning and Zoning Commission expressed concerns over that proximity to the residential uses in zoning. And again, what's proposed tonight is not immediately adjacent to residential uses or zoning. So the proposed SUP to allow a convenience store with gas pumps does not violate the intent of the comprehensive land use plan, is compatible with existing uses in the existing and proposed zoning, and is not immediately adjacent to residential developments or zoning. So staff is recommending approval of ordinance 26S11, but the condition of building permit is approved within 2 years of adoption of the SUP in accordance with UDC Article 5, Section 21511F. And then the Planning and Zoning Commission did hold a public hearing for this item on May 6th. And they made a recommendation of denial to City Council with a 5-2 vote. Commissioner Outlaw and Commissioner McMaster casted the nay votes. And then the applicant is here and does have a presentation for this portion.
Okay.
Good evening, City Council members and Mayor. Thank you so much, Daisy, and thanks for getting us here. There's been a lot of applications, and I appreciate it. My name's Naresh Maknoja. I'm family-owned, I guess, second gen in our business, and we're a small family-owned business, and that's our brand, Foodie's Corner. So I'd like to present a little bit, talk about a little bit what we currently do and what we're planning to bring to Schertz. So our story, I guess, started with my dad, and he basically has worked through and as from our lease stores and working 25 years at that store, actually. And that's how we got started, and slowly as he's built up, and here we're now. So that's the first location that's it's located in Cedar Park. It used to be a very small city, almost 20 years ago. So we've grown out since then, and just wanted to share where we kind of started. Here's some of the other locations we currently have. The top left one is actually the remodeled store that I showed you, and then the other one is in Leander. We have one in UT, and a couple in other locations in Austin and Leander and surrounding MSA areas. So I'll share a little bit where we're located. So here we're geographically where we are, and the way we look at our brand is we kind of treat ourselves, I guess we like to be, within neighborhoods. We're not catering to highway or major corridor or travel centers. Mostly, if not all the locations that we have are surrounded by residentials or schools and stuff, and we're mainly coming in as a small grocery store with, obviously we do have a fuel component. And some of the locations that are, the first 6 locations are our existing locations, in Jonestown, Leander, Cedar Park, Austin, East Austin, South Austin. And the 2 that are highlighted in gray are actually slated to open this year. One's in Liberty Hill and the other one is in San Marcos. And we're hoping those 2 highlighted in gray are gonna be our newest, I guess our flagship stores. That's something that what we're trying to propose in City of Schertz, and I'll kind of describe what's being proposed as well later on. So here's are some of the communities that we currently serve. Treviso is almost a 3,000 home community. Bryson's almost 1,500 community, and we're located, if not like at the corridor kind of intersection, how we are talking about in City of Schertz. Butter Creek Park, it's basically a neighborhood in Cedar Park. We're nestled literally inside. And East Cesar Chavez is a little bit urban East Austin area. And so I would like to point out that obviously there's a lot of convenience stores, corporate owned, single family owned. And what sets us apart is I think what we're trying to bring is a very modern convenience store. And obviously we do like to take into account the traffic flow and safe, and it will be clean, well lit. And we like to prioritize the neighborhood we're serving, so we're gonna have a lot of products to serve the neighbors around us. And in most cases, the quality or the standard, the architectural elements we bring, it usually surpasses local zoning or safety elements. Maybe in City of Schertz already has a robust zoning, but sometimes we're located in county and stuff, so we still hold that standard within us. So wanted to talk about a little bit about this site as we were looking at it. So when we did look at it, it was brought up that in previous years there might have been other C-stores that might came in and have got denial, and we kind of looked at it, okay, what was the reason, and is it what worked for us to come in and kind of propose our model. So we got accumulated with City of Schertz when we had our meeting, a brief meeting with the Economic Development Board. And they had shared about the interest and kind of shared some of the areas that they were looking at. And when we came across this, and we really liked City of Schertz and that corridor where we were kind of looking at it. So on this specific site, we're about 500 feet from the nearest single family home, 750 feet from the closest master plan neighborhood at the moment, and it's about 1,000 feet from the nearest school structure. And just to say a little bit, obviously it will be, will meet TIA recommendation as needed. That was one of the more important points that has been brought up multiple times now. And I can talk a little bit further as well as needed. So as far as some of the safety, this may go a little bit in depth. I don't think we've been asked about that too much, but we do we'll meet TCQ ordinance or state. These are more robust than city or local county ordinance that we have when it comes to fuel. And some of the features that we use on our side are just double wall steel tank for leak protections, flex pipe, which are the newest technologies for fueling and stuff, and obviously modern tank monitoring for leak detection and stuff like that, which is giving you daily reports live. So our commitment is to maintain a clean and safe, well-managed site, and obviously we'll invest in the upkeep, staffing, and property standards. Long-term local presence. We're not coming in to basically come in and build it and you will not see us in the next 5 years. We want to come in and we want to be here for the next 20, 25 years. And we're basically focused on stable, positive addition to the neighborhood. And then moving forward, so this is just a architectural rendering of how our store itself will look. But here's a little photo from our Liberty Hill site. Currently, it's going to open in July. So this is something what we want to propose in City of Schertz at that intersection. And here I just wanted to give a perspective of our gas canopy, the pumps. We're using the best technology, the most efficient and as possible. And a little interior shot of our site and how it's going to turn out to be. This was not shared during the planning and zoning, but we thought it would be important to bring and work on it to share during the city council meeting to kind of address some of the issues on access and how we're planning on laying out that 2 acres. So it is 2 acres. In the top left corner is where you could see it's going to be our store, and the fuel can will be kind of in front of that. And right next to it is going to be a small retail center. I believe it's about 6,000 or 7,000 square feet. And as you can see, we're planning to have a turn lane. This will need to be worked out with TxDOT. But our intent is to have a turn lane so it's easy access from 1518 and obviously have access on the Ray Corbett Drive. So that's an overall perspective of how we're planning on laying out this site. And I'd like to move, and I think Daisy pointed out, but some of the concerns that I noted during our planning and zoning meeting were traffic, TIA, and issues with gas station being close to, I guess, residents and school, delivery schedules, and I would be happy to discuss any of these that were brought on. We had some discussion during our planning and zoning, but I would like, if there's anything relating to this, I would be happy to go back into that. Sorry. So traffic's been brought up multiple times, and I wanted to kind of point out during the city council meeting that 1518 is being expanded, and obviously when we do our feasibility, we kind of looked at it, and it's supposed to be a corridor. It's going to have a lot of traffic. At the moment, it seems there's not much commercial on 1518, but that road is being developed for the future. And us adding a convenience store is not, it's basically a drop in the water when you're going to consider the full build out and everything's going to grow along this corridor. So I wanted to point that out. And I also wanted to point out that eventually at the moment, if you come down from 71 and go down to I-10, it's very easy, not too many signals, but eventually there will be U-turns and a couple signal lights, and there are going to be multiple point of conflicts. I bring that up because one of the neighbors brought up a good point where they had kind of, and I'll go into that, about the proximity to other gas stations as well. So I wanted to also point out that the corner we're looking at is, we're looking at that pink corner for the future land use of City of Schertz. It is planned for a future like commercial space. And it's about 98 acres of what we're just looking at that intersection. We're planning to develop about 2 acres. Our hope is, as we come in, I think we have a general grasp, usually we've seen it in past, is other developments will follow, retail or whatever that may be. So we do think that we're located in the right spot. It was brought up like, yeah, Lower Seguin would be a good spot, but that land is just not available. We've looked at multiple lands, so we basically came in where it fits the best, where utilities are available, and where we can make our site work. So the proximity to other convenience store and is a C-store needed at this location. I would like to point out, it doesn't matter how our situation goes here, but 1518 is about a 5.5 mile stretch. And as we're doing our feasibility, we're seeing that there's no convenience store at the moment on that entire corridor. The closest one, I guess there's 3 close intersections that are nearest. One is the Valero on 2.4 miles. One is the Big Country Valero, 3.3 miles. And obviously the Quick Trip and Circle K down south. And to us, it seems like we're strategically located. And when 1518 is built out, and given how many signals or U-turns that may come, at the moment it may be taking 5 to 7 minutes to get to either locations. But in the future, it may take a lot longer. And we think our position is justifiable to see where we fit to cater that neighborhood around us. So just some final thoughts I would just like to say is to look at the growth along 1518. We would be excited to join the City of Schertz and bring the third of our stores in this neighborhood. And it took us a while to get here, and we've obviously been looking at this, working on it since December, and here we are, and obviously have spent a lot of effort and dollars on feasibility, TIA studies, and obviously everything. And then lastly is with our development or the subsequent development, will definitely bring a lot of tax and commercial growth. So here to have any questions you may have, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So at this time, we'll go ahead and open it up to a public hearing at 7:03. Anybody wishing to come up to discuss on this item, please state your name and address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to speak. Going once? Going twice? All right, we'll go ahead and close the hearing of residents at 7:04. This time, I'll open it up to council for discussion. Any discussion? All right, can I entertain a motion? Oh, wait, Henry, you got a discussion, Councilmember Westbrook?
Yes. So back in 2025, and so I know you said you did your due diligence, but something piqued my interest because it was, in your slide, it was within 1,000 yards of a school. So let me pull this up right quick. I don't know, when you said approximately 1,000 yards, oh, I don't
1,000
know my
feet.
password.
Yeah, sorry, 1,000 feet.
So it was like, it was Senate Bill 1316. Says this law prohibits tobacco and e-cigarettes advertising within 1,000 yards of schools and churches. This means no billboards, posters, or other ads for these products can appear near those places. The law will take effect on September 1st, 2025. So will your convenience store be advertising any tobacco, e-cigarettes within 1,000 yards of Corbett High School?
Well, for clarification, though, I think he stated 1,000 feet and you're stating 1,000 yards.
Is it within 1,000 yards of the school?
So it's 1,000 feet, sorry, or it's 1,000 feet from the closest store to the school structure.
Yep.
But what you're referring to, there's been a lot of stuff going on in the convenience store and everything, but a lot of the bigger Senate bills that have still going back and forth with houses, it's actually related to the THC and their use of CBD, not so more so on the tobacco. And I can definitely look into that, but we're not planning on putting a billboard or advertising. I think whatever stuff we carry is gonna be internal. But yeah, obviously if it does pass locally or just with permits, we're not gonna be selling that. If that gets banned, we can't sell it. So it's not like we're gonna go against that and sell that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Senate Bill 30, it's already passed in September of 2025.
Yeah, so I can
that's
definitely look into that, but I have a feeling it might be relating to THC because that was a huge battle going back and forth, or the use of CBD and these e-cigs and nicotine and the use of that. But I don't think there's any restrictions on, like, let's say, tobacco or cigarettes.
All right. I was just
No,
trying to make you
I'm
aware.
only saying that because I know there's, even Daisy said that there's, like, she showed probably 5 schools right now, and I can assure that I don't think tobacco itself, but I do know there's been some bigger bans on CBD, nicotine, and all that.
I agree. I'm just reading an article.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
And it says the
I would
law
have to look
prohibits
into
tobacco.
yeah, I would have to look into that.
Yeah.
But if it is, then obviously we're not gonna do that yet.
So if it falls under that, and then you'll be compliant with those
Yeah,
state
100%.
laws?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay. All right, Councilmember Guerrero.
I got a question for you, sir. So you will be selling, as long as everything is within reason and legal, you will be selling, you say tobacco products?
We sell tobacco and stuff, but it's basically if it is FDA approved. There's a lot of gray space, and we're not opening a vape shop, so we're not gonna have all these other stuff. It's basically if it is FDA approved and it's allowed from major companies from Marlboro and stuff, which we buy directly from, that's something we would sell. And that's not to say it's just us. If any retailer, whoever comes, that may sell that.
So long as it's approved, you're going to sell what's approved? Beer, whatever, correct? Liquor?
Yeah. I mean, I see where you're going with the question, but to put it, it makes up a majority of our business. And saying that we can't do that, there's no way financially we can sustain like develop something of almost millions of dollars and not help that, you know.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Sheridan.
Yes, I just want to make some definite comments here. That South 78 area is really growing. And, and currently, and I like that picture that you posted about the existing proximity of other gas stations. And the problem that I saw with that none of them belong to Schertz. We don't have anything out there, that's, investing in investing in Schertz, et cetera. So with that, I do have concerns with the traffic, and again, it sounds like we're working with TxDOT, which I think that's a good, good avenue to take because, with the school traffic and, the gas traffic and all the growth that's going on in that area, I can see that becoming a real headache. And yeah, they're expanding 15 to 18. But, again, I want to make sure that we're, paying, close attention to that if we decide to pass this resolution. But other than that, I don't have any questions so far. I just want to make a statement, so comment.
Yeah, just a clarification. We have not reached out to TxDOT yet, but yeah, for any permit along 1518, we have to. So yeah, we will.
Yeah. No, good. Thank you.
Councilmember Macaluso.
I have a question for Kathy. I know you guys provided, mitigation efforts for traffic. Can you kind of expand on that a little bit, when that would happen? Okay, John, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to defer this to John.
Because I think, anybody with gas pumps are going to have their high level of traffic is going to be right in the morning when people are going there for school, after school, things along those lines. So Ray Corbett Drive as it is very troublesome for anybody that's taking their kids to school there. And that, I think that's a key concern for I know for myself.
Okay. A little bit later in the development process, this is kind of the very first step of a longer process to actually get something built. But as you go through the platting process, the applicant will be required to do a detailed traffic impact analysis. And that's more detailed and more rigorous than the traffic summary that we do for a zone change request or a special use permit application. That's the zoning, the traffic summary is more of a high level, and you look at a worst case scenario. The TIA, the formal TIA, traffic impact analysis, looks at exactly where the approach locations are going to be, exactly what the developer is going to build, because different uses have different traffic volumes. And to be perfectly blunt, a convenience store with a gas station, while it is a relatively high traffic generator, it is not the highest traffic generator that could go there under general business zoning. So we evaluate it from the standpoint of what they're actually going to do, and we look at, here are the impacts that this could have by sending this additional traffic out to Ray Corbett, for example, and making them and having traffic go through that intersection. So what impact does that have, and what do you do to mitigate the effects of that? It depends on the volumes on all the roads, and we will be coordinating with TxDOT. TxDOT will also have to review and be a part of this traffic impact analysis and review and approve it before we will approve it. And what that TIA identifies specifically in terms of what they have to do to mitigate the effects of that traffic, the developer will be required to construct that along with their building and their site. And just what those are going to be right now, we don't know, because we're not at that step just yet.
Thank you.
If we have no other discussions, can I entertain a motion?
I motion that we approve ordinance 26S011.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, having a motion made by Councilmember Watson, seconded by Councilmember Paul Macaluso. Can I get everybody to cast the votes, please? Can I get the votes published? All right, having 2 yeas, 5 nays, motion does not pass. So ordinance 26-S-011 will not pass. All right, moving on to item 11, ordinance 26-S-012. Conduct a public hearing, consider a request to rezone approximately 0.2 acres of land from general business district to Main Street Mixed Use District, also known in MSMU, known as 502 Main Street, specifically known as Guadalupe Property Identification Number 67753, City of Schertz, Texas. And we have Daisy Marquez.
Good evening once again. Ordinance 26S12, a proposed 0.2 acre zone change to Main Street Mixed Use District. Daisy Marquez, Senior Planner. Here's the subject property outlined in yellow. It is located along Main Street, kind of at that intersection of Lindbergh and Main Street. It is currently zoned General Business District, and it is used as a restaurant. They are not proposing a change in use with this. They're just going through the process. That's why they're seeking the MSMU zone change at this time. But to the north, we have Main Street. To the south, we have the Union Pacific Railroad, and then to the east, we have the Randolph Realty offices, and then to the west, we have General Business District. So here are the dimensional requirements and some of the permitted use differences between general business district and Main Street mixed use. One of the biggest differences is that our Main Street mixed use zoning district does allow for more flexibility for a lot of these older lots located along Main Street and our Main Street corridor. So we did send out 17 public hearing notices on April 23rd. We did receive one in favor, and a public hearing notice was published in the San Antonio Express on May 13th. A notification sign was placed by the applicant, and it was heard at the May 6th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. And again, it's currently zoned General Business District, and the applicant is proposing Main Street Mixed Use District. So for zone changes, we look towards the criteria in UDC Section 2154D. This area is designated as Main Street Mixed Use District, Main Street in the future land use designation, as you can see by all the purple in the image. It's intended for single-family, multifamily residential, low-intensity commercial, and cultural and entertainment uses. The proposed Main Street Mixed Use District is consistent with the Main Street future land use designation. Engineering did provide a memo that there's no expected increase or decrease in traffic, so there would be no adverse impact to the city's transportation system. Thus, the proposed zone change to MSMU promotes the health, safety, and welfare of the city. The proposed MSMU or MSMU is intended for properties on Main Street and the Main Street corridor. This property is quite literally located on Main Street, is within that Main Street corridor that is eligible for all of those Main Street grants. So the proposed MSMU is consistent and appropriate. The City of Schertz Fire, EMS, and PD did not have any objections to the proposed zone change. A public hearing notice was sent to SCUC ISD, and the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing for this item on May 6th. Staff recommends approval of Ordinance 26S12 due to the location of the property on Main Street, compatibility with existing uses in the comp plan future land use map. And the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing for this item on May 6th and made a recommendation of approval to City Council with a unanimous vote. Thank you. And then the applicant's here, but if you have any specific questions for them.
Okay. At this time, I will go ahead and open it up to a public hearing at 7:17. Residents must state their name and address, and any resident wishing to come up to speak will have 3 minutes to speak. So do I have anybody wanting to come up and speak on behalf of Ordinance 26-S-012? Going once, going twice. We'll go ahead and close hearing of residents at 7:17. At this time, I'll open it up for discussion.
Daisy? Sorry. What's the main purpose of the zone request change?
They're trying to plat the property, and the MSMU zoning district allows for a reduced lot width and depth that works with the smaller lots in the historical area of Schertz.
Will it help or hurt the ability to have a better parking lot situation there?
It will help their situation.
Okay.
Having no other discussions, can I entertain a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right. So I have a motion made by Councilmember Paul Macaluso, and I'm going to go ahead and accept second by Mayor Pro Tem Mark Davis. Can I get everybody to cast their votes? Can I get the votes published, please? Having 7 yeas, no nays, motion passes. Moving on to item 12, ordinance 26-S-013. Conduct a public hearing and consider a request to rezone approximately 0.4 acres of land from general business district to a Main Street mixed use district known as 506 Main Street and 508 Main Street, specifically known as Guadalupe County Property Identification Numbers 32859 and 32861, City of Schertz, Guadalupe County, Texas. And we have Daisy Marquez.
Good evening once again. Ordinance 26S13, a proposed 0.4 acre zone change to MSMU. Daisy Marquez, Senior Planner. So this is a subject property immediately to the right of Melanie's, the zone change that we just heard. They're working together on this. So it's currently zoned general business district. They're proposing Main Street mixed use district. Again, Main Street mixed use allows for this property to have more flexibility in the future if they want to grow, if they want to lease out tenant spaces. They're not proposing any changes in the use right now. They plan to stay the Randolph Realty offices for now and for the future for now. Again, here's the difference between the dimensional requirements and permitted uses for general business district and MSMU. We did send out 17 public hearing notices on April 23rd. We did receive one response in favor. A public hearing notice was published in the paper on May 13th. 2 signs were placed by the applicant on the property, and it did go to the Planning and Zoning Commission on May 6th. Again, here's what's being proposed. It's currently zoned general business district, and it's being proposed as MSMU. And again, that criteria for approval for zone changes in 2154D, this property is within that same area of the Main Street future land use designation. It's located on Main Street, within that Main Street corridor. So the proposed MSMU is consistent with the comp plan and is consistent and appropriate with the surrounding uses. Engineering did also provide a memo that there's no proposed change in use. The property is already developed. It will have no impact on the city's transportation system. And again, this property is already on Main Street. It's already in the Main Street corridor. Along Main Street, we already have offices, personal services, restaurants, etc. What MSMU allows in its permitted use table is consistent and appropriate with what's already along Main Street. City of Schertz Fire, EMS, and PD did not have objections to the proposed zone change. We did send out a public hearing notice to SCUC ISD, and our Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing for this item on May 6th. Staff recommends approval of Ordinance 26S13 due to the location of the property on Main Street, its compatibility with the comprehensive land use plan and the existing uses in the immediate area. And again, the Planning and Zoning Commission held a public hearing for this item on May 6th and made a recommendation of approval to City Council with a unanimous vote. Thank you.
Daisy, I just have one question, and that's just to make sure and confirm that it's not going to affect any way, like the way they're conducting business today, it's not going to affect what they're currently doing. And it's to kind of bring everything into alignment to flow with the way things are today.
Correct, sir.
Okay. Do we have any other discussion? Having no other discussions, can I entertain a vote or a motion?
Make a motion that we approve ordinance 26S013.
Public hearing.
Oh, public hearing.
I take that back. We're not going to entertain a motion at this time because I do have to open it up for a public hearing at 7:22. Do I have anybody wishing to come up to speak on ordinance 26-S-013? Going once? Going twice? All right, we'll go ahead and close the hearing residents at 7:23 on ordinance 26-S-013. Now can I entertain a motion?
I want to make a motion that we accept
And I'll
ordinance
second.
approved
I'll
26S013. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion made by Councilmember Sheridan, seconded by Councilmember Guerrero. If I can get everybody to cast the votes. Can I get the votes published, please? Having 7 yeas, no nays, motion passes. At this time, we are going to go ahead and go into closed session on item 13. The City Council will meet in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551-071, consultation with an attorney, and 551-074 to discuss the following matters. A, legal issues and options related to concerns raised in relation to the City Council and social media, consultation with an attorney, and B, the options related to concerns with Council Member Place 2 and social media pursuant to adopt City Council policies. And item 14, the City Council will meet in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, consultation with attorney to discuss the following matters. A, the legal issues and options regarding DTLC Investments LLC and JHD TLC and LLC versus City of Schertz, Texas, C2026-0401A, 0533E, 466 Judicial District Court, Comal County, Texas. So we'll be going into closed session at 7:24. closed session. So closed session on item 13, 13A, the legal issues and options related to concerns raised in relation to the city council and social media. And B, the options related to concerns with council member place 2 and social media pursuant to adopted city codes policy. There will be no action taken on item 13. However, council member place 2 has been advised of code of conduct as it pertains to social media policy going forward. Item 14, City Council will meet in closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551-071. So that now is, as we can reconvene in regular session, is item 17. Take any action based on discussion held in closed session under agenda item number 14. Do I have a motion on item 17?
I'll make a motion. Dan, does it have specific language that we need?
Yeah, I just need a motion to authorize the city attorney to represent the city of Schertz in that litigation.
Okay, just as Dan said, with the motion to approve use of the city attorney to represent the city in this issue.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, so I have a motion made by Councilmember Paul Macaluso, seconded by Councilmember Sheridan. Can I get everybody to cast their votes? Can I get the votes published, please? Okay, having 7 yeas, no nays. Item 17 passes on having our legal attorney defend us on this lawsuit. On item 18, it's just in your packets. No action to be taken. Moving on to requests and announcements. Requests by mayor or council members for updates or information from staff. Is there any updates that the staff's wanting?
Yes, Mayor.
I would like to bring back we're talking about the school that we're going to build the sidewalk on both sides. However, we have, yes, two schools, okay. The elementary students still have to walk across the bridge. I want to bring back to where the school board, they need to bus those kids instead of them walking across the bridge on I-35. Go ahead, Councilman.
No, I'm gonna wait till you.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to bring that back. I want to talk about that. They need to bust them.
Okay, and then we'll get Councilmember Sheridan.
Yes, can we get an update on the trash survey that was conducted in early May?
Yes, the presentation will be at the next council meeting.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, and then now Councilmember Westbrook.
No, whenever it comes up, we'll discuss it about the school district and busing. That's historically, having been on the school board before, we've stayed in our lane. Us advocating or telling the school board or the school district what they should or should not do, to me, that seems a little bit out of bounds. But if we want to discuss it in any workshop or any session, that's fine. I'll be willing to share what I know, but I don't expect for them to come to our lane and tell us how to run the city of Schertz. And I certainly don't want to wade into the waters and tell them what they should or should not be doing with the resources that they have. But I'll leave it at that.
No, and I agree with you. Not necessarily tell them, but discuss it, because it would be a lot better for the students if they were bused and walking across the freeway. So.
Yeah, I think as it pertains to the sidewalks that have to do with the elementary school and the middle school, a lot of it also had to do with they were meeting their parents at the convenience store and for them to be able to get picked up there. So I think some of that was some of those concerns as well. Any requests by mayor or council members that items or presentations be placed on any future city council agendas?
I'd like to see if we can have impact fees brought back up so we can compare us to our communities that we're in competition with.
Okay, any other items?
Yes, Mayor. I would like to see some type of presentations of all the programs that we have in regards to our young leaders, youth programs that we have, you know, like the junior academy that the police department has and all the different, you know, youth leadership programs that we offer here in Schertz, and just kind of get an idea of all the offerings that we do for our young folks.
Okay. All right, having no other items, city and community events attended or to be attended by council members?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Nothing tonight.
We recently had a Jubilee Committee meeting. Got to go to Portillo's soft opening day where they were very gracious, provided free meals to everyone who was there, and the ICSE conference in Vegas.
I attended the Councilman Tim Brown's ribbon cutting, his funeral service at Fort Sam, the Purse Bingo event, EMS banquet, and the Memorial Day event.
The Schertz Historical Preservation Committee meeting, Memorial Day ceremony in Selma, and their councilman did a pretty good, real good job speaking. Schertz EMS Awards banquet, SSLGC board meeting, the chamber luncheon. We did receive the PowerPoint from the TxDOT. The conference room dedication for Tim Brown was well received, and the ribbon cutting at Marina Nail Lodge.
Well, since being sworn in 7 days ago, I attended the Portillo's soft opening, had a Chicago dog, it was very, very yummy, and SCUC Education Foundation board meeting.
Attended the chamber luncheon, the Memorial Day service at Selma, the Schertz EMS banquet, and the soft opening of Portillo's restaurant.
Okay, and I too attended the ICSC conference, the memorial service that was held in Selma, the Purse Bingo event that was held, and also the EMS banquet that was held as well. So, having no other items, this meeting is adjourned. 28.